Okay, why is it muted? I'm saying. Good morning. It's Thursday, right? Of course, strong storms coming through the area yesterday. Not only bringing all kinds of rain and clogging up central Illinois storm sewers, but we even have had some high winds in areas of the state, power outages here in central Illinois. We were at the Capitol and we lost power to cameras and all kinds of stuff. Just for a blip, but it's enough to mess some stuff up. And then, of course, when I get home to my home studio, everything is restarted and having to change all those clocks. So I appreciate you guys' patience. Good morning. Back into it. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Watch the live show each and every weekday morning at 8 o'clock here on YouTube with The Center Square, and get the newsletter in your inbox at thecentersquare.com. We got tons to tackle today, from Trump tariffs to what's going on here in the Illinois State House with the Illinois Senate, plus more response to the ongoing litigation challenging Illinois' sanctuary state policies. So that's what we're going to tackle here with Illinois in Focus Daily. Again, I want to encourage you guys, share the show with your friends. Wake up with us every morning. You can join the chat room and check that out. And a lot of people pretty active in there, sounding off on all kinds of issues. So be sure to take it easy in there and enjoy each other's company as we go through all of the news. And if you can't make the live show, I get it. Not everybody has the time to sit down at 8 o'clock and watch this. You can listen to the podcast later on in the day. We get that posted anywhere you get podcasts. Just search Illinois Focus. All right, let's get to it. It's Liberation Day yesterday. President Donald Trump sharing that he's increasing tariffs on a whole host of countries. So we'll hear that. We'll also hear some response to that from Illinois Democrats pushing back on the president's tariffs. So stay tuned. That's next year with Illinois Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop.
This is one of the most important days, in my opinion, in American history. It's our declaration of economic independence. For years, hardworking American citizens were forced to sit on the sidelines as other nations got rich and powerful, much of it at our expense. But now it's our turn to prosper, and in so doing, use trillions and trillions of dollars to reduce our taxes and pay down our national debt, and it'll all...
It's President Donald Trump yesterday at the Rose Garden announcing it is Liberation Day. Good morning, I'm Greg Bishop. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning. Why are we talking about what's going on in Washington, D.C. on Illinois in Focus? It's simple, and it impacts you right here in the land of Lincoln. So we've got in response to the tariffs from U.S. Senator Dick Durbin and Governor J.B. Pritzker. Pritzker wrapping up his trade mission to Mexico yesterday, so we've got a statement there as well. So let's get into it, all right? If you go to thecentersquare.com, you can see the latest headlines as to what's going on in Washington, D.C. So Trump, he says, wave of reciprocal tariffs will go into effect at midnight, and after midnight, here we are. What is this all about? He says April 2nd being Liberation Day. The plans previously announced were 25% tariffs on foreign automobiles and auto parts, and reciprocal tariffs on countries that put taxes on U.S. imports. Here's the president talking a bit more about how for a long time the United States has been taken advantage of, he says.
Our country has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations near and far, both friend and foe alike. American steelworkers, auto workers, farmers, and skilled craftsmen. We have a lot of them here with us today. They really suffered gravely. They watched in anguish as foreign leaders have stolen our jobs, foreign cheaters have ransacked our factories, and foreign scavengers have torn apart our once beautiful American dream. We had an American dream that you don't hear so much about. You did 4 years ago, and you are now, but you don't too often, and for many years and decades even, you didn't hear too much about. Our country and its taxpayers have been ripped off for more than 50 years, but it is not going to happen anymore. It's not going to happen.
So the president, he went on to further talk about the history of it, and even talked about 1913 when the United States went away from relying on tariffs to help fund government functions and instead started relying on income taxes. Here again is the president from yesterday.
From 1789 to 1913, we were a tariff-backed nation, and the United States was proportionately the wealthiest it has ever been. So wealthy, in fact, that in the 1880s, they established a commission to decide what they were going to do with the vast sums of money they were collecting. We were collecting so much money so fast, we didn't know what to do with it. Isn't that a nice problem to have? What do you think, Marco? Good problem? Marco would love that problem. But we don't have that problem anymore, but we're not going to have it very much longer, I will tell you. But they collected so much money, they actually formed a commission to determine what they were going to do with the money, who they were going to give it to, and how much. Then in 1913, for reasons unknown to mankind, they established the income tax so that citizens, rather than foreign countries, would start paying the money necessary to run our government. Then in 1929, it all came to a very abrupt end with the Great Depression, and it would have never happened if they had stayed with the tariff policy. It would have been a much different story. They tried to bring back tariffs to save our country, but it was gone. It was gone. It was too late. Nothing could have been done. It took years and years to get out of that depression.
So again, that's the president from yesterday in the Rose Garden. What exactly is going to be happening here? Well, for China, the tariff rates be about 34% on imports from the world's most populous nation in China. For European Union countries, it'll be 20%. For Japan, the duty will be 24%. Imports from India will get a 26% tariff, and Cambodia will get hit with a 49% tariff. In addition, Trump said that a baseline of 10% would go into effect April 5th. And they even shared a chart that kind of breaks down some of the tariffs that we've seen in global trade. All right, so what are some of the things that these countries are charging the U.S.? 67% from China, 97% from Cambodia, and we're not going to charge that much, but maybe it will go up. Madagascar, 93%. 95% in Laos. Those are what they're charging the U.S. So you can see, while this is being reported out, a lot of different media outlets and Democrats very critical of this, but are they acknowledging that flip side of the coin of these other countries and what some may say are steep tariffs that they impose? And while all this is going on, of course, the stock market on, quote, Liberation Day, pretty volatile. See what it does this morning when we wake up and see the opening bell. But the criticism has obviously come in pretty quick. Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday put out this statement after the announcement from President Trump. Let's see here. Here we go. Slams Trump's tax on working families following the Mexico trade mission. Governor J.B. Pritzker released the following statement. Donald Trump may want to call this Liberation Day, but there is nothing liberating for working families who are grappling with the high cost of food, housing, and utilities. Tariffs are a tax, he said. They are a tax on working families, a tax on groceries, a tax on other everyday necessities. Instead of doing anything meaningful to lower prices for Americans, the Trump tax on working families is an extreme escalation against our closest allies that will raise prices just to give Elon Musk and his wealthiest friends a tax break. So really no indication there or acknowledgement of the taxes, I guess, that other countries are imposing on the United States, nor any acknowledgement of Trump's efforts to essentially say, if you build it here in the United States, there's no tariff. And that's the White House saying that they want manufacturers to come back to the United States. Senator Dick Durbin also sounding off on this on the U.S. Senate floor. Here he is talking.
President, since taking office 72 days ago, the Trump administration has created chaos in our economy. The president, if you'll remember, campaigned on lowering prices for American families. Unfortunately, his policies and actions have done the opposite. Many families are worse off today than when he was sworn in. In February, egg prices, which has become a political standard bearer, hit a new all-time high in the United States. Just last week, a typical U.S. homeowner's monthly mortgage payment also reached an all-time high. And now, Donald Trump's ill-conceived, foolish trade war with one of our top allies is the latest example of his continued pain for America's wallets. On February 1st, the president announced he was imposing a 10% tariff on energy imports from Canada, as well as 25% tariff on all other goods. Unsurprisingly, Canada answered and announced retaliatory tariffs. And just like that, a trade war with our second largest trading partner and closest ally is underway.
But again, this does not acknowledge how much Canada was imposing tariffs on the United States. So I would encourage you to go check out the story at the Center Square on the national page of all the different countries and the tariffs that they were imposing on the United States. And you could see, like the United Kingdom, Cambodia, Switzerland, Dominican Republic, and more. So go find that and share that story up. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop, and we'll hear a lot more about this, obviously, as the president's plans for reciprocal trade tariffs go into effect, already in effect. All of this coming together and how it's going to impact Illinois and the political landscape here. Is it going to be a tough go the next few months, or are things going to turn around fast? We'll be watching it here with Illinois in Focus Daily. And I want to encourage you to also check out Everyday Economics here with this channel on the Center Square. You've got a PhD in economics and the Center Square's publisher talking about the financial ramifications of government decisions. So check out that podcast as well, Everyday Economics here with the Center Square. I'm Greg Bishop, and it is Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning. Get the podcast where you get podcasts and that newsletter in your inbox by going to thecentersquare.com.
Hard. And people need to be very careful, and I'm talking state's attorneys, I'm talking sheriffs in jails, I'm talking the director of the Department of Corrections needs to be very careful how they react on all of this, or they might find themselves locked up.
Illinois State Senator Terry Bryant reacting to the Trump administration's Department of Justice filing their latest court filing, saying that the motion from the state of Illinois, Cook County, and Chicago to dismiss the challenge that the federal government's brought against the state's migrant sanctuary policies should be denied. Welcome back. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. I know there's a lot of words there, but essentially what's going on here is the court case against the state's sanctuary policies continues with the U.S. Department of Justice saying that the federal judge should deny the state's request to dismiss the case. We talked about this yesterday. I was at the State House yesterday also and getting a reaction to what's going on here. So we were the first to report that yesterday morning. So it's one reason why you should wake up with us each and every weekday morning to get the latest. But you saw the story go out yesterday afternoon after I got some reaction from various legislators, and you can watch that at thecentersquare.com. Again, get the newsletter every morning in your inbox. So let's just go through this a little bit, because some of the quotes from the actual filing you'll find here, and you can read the actual filing. Go to the story down at the bottom. You can download that PDF and read that for yourself. So let's just go through this, because some interesting points made by the Department of Justice. They say that Illinois' migrant sanctuary policies allow criminally illegal aliens to move freely throughout the United States, inflicting harm on victims who would have been averted had they been detained. So the DOJ filed that lawsuit shortly after Pam Bondi took office as the U.S. Attorney General. When yesterday I was at the Capitol, I asked State Senator Robert Peters and State Senator Javier Carvantes about where we're at in this overall conversation. Now, this was during an unrelated news conference where they were discussing various bills to help out those experiencing mental illness. And here's what they had to say on my off-topic question. I was sure to, make all the other reporters that had questions about on-topic, get those in, and then I had an off-topic question. And it was a question just simply about, hey, they pushed back against the state saying to dismiss the case. What's your guys' thoughts on where we're at in this conversation about sanctuary jurisdictions going up against the Trump administration? Here's Senator
I think
Peters.
the main thing from to answer on this question, I'll just say this is mostly about insurance. I say what we've seen over the last couple months from this new administration has been embarrassing for many of us trying to get work done at the state. It's embarrassed us on the international stage. I would really hope the new administration focuses on the working people of Illinois instead of playing these political games with people's lives. At the end of the day, that's what matters most, is making sure that working people have what they need. That's why we're talking about healthcare, and that's why healthcare comes first and foremost. Thank you.
And then Senator Peters leaves the briefing room, and Senator Cervantes goes in.
Perspective a little bit. It's like we're here to, unfortunately have to be on the defense a little bit, and we're here to protect our families. And I understand these are the challenges that we've had. We have a great Progressive Caucus group. We have 17 members, and we always are looking at what's coming out of Washington to figure out what we could do here to continue to basically be on defense, right? To try to protect these families, whether it comes to work authorization issues, when it comes to E-Verify, I-9, all that stuff that's going to be happening. We're doing our best right now here to look at what's happening and then build those policies to protect and be on the defense, because we have to. That's what we're here for. So, unfortunately, they're going to continue to come. This is just a couple months into the administration. We have a few more years left, but we were going to. I want the people of Illinois and our immigrant community to understand that we're here to be on the defense as much as possible.
So again, that's Senator Javier Cervantes from Chicago, Democrat in the Illinois General Assembly, reacting to where we're at in this conversation about the lawsuits of the U.S. Department of Justice suing the states, saying that the state's sanctuary policies that essentially say state and local police cannot cooperate with federal law enforcement to enforce immigration law if it's only a civil detainer order. That means that sheriffs can't communicate as much as they want to. They can't communicate to ICE because they would be violating state law. So they can't tell ICE, hey, we've got somebody here that's in our jail as a non-citizen, come get them. And that's clearly a point of frustration for Republicans at the State House, but also now with the Republican administration, the Department of Justice. In its filing, the DOJ said that Illinois' migrant sanctuary policies work an extraordinary assault on the federal government's enforcement of the immigration laws at a time when the United States is facing a national emergency from unprecedented illegal entry of aliens into the country. Illinois' state and local migrant sanctuary policies preempted by the Immigration and Nationality Act, the DOJ writes, because they stand as an obstacle to achieving the full purpose, the objective of the act. Now, in their motion to dismiss the case last month, the state of Illinois said the DOJ's case is misguided. They bring up the 10th Amendment, saying that federal law preserves Illinois' sovereign right to opt out of assisting federal immigration agents with their civil enforcement actions. That is what Illinois has done through the statutes, the Trust Act and the Way Forward Act. The DOJ argued in their filing earlier this week that migrant sanctuary policies prohibit state and local law enforcement cooperation that impedes congressionally sanctioned and authorized federal immigration law. The DOJ says under the 10th Amendment, Congress must exercise its legislative power over individuals directly and may not commandeer states into enacting a federal regulatory program. But under the Supremacy Clause, when federal law and state conflict, Federal law prevails and the state law is preempted, they argue. So here we are. How do we move forward here? State Senator Terry Bryant was asked to respond to State Senator Cervantes when I connected with her yesterday at the Capitol, and we're just outside the Senate chambers before they go into session, and said, hey, the Democrats say they're just going to have to continue to craft laws in Illinois that protect these non-migrant or these non-citizen migrant populations. Here's what Republican Senator Bryant had to say.
Well, I think that this time President Trump has his legs under him, and I think that the Progressive Caucus is going to find out that it's a new day in Illinois, and the harder they push, they're going to come up against a guy who's not going to be pushed around in President Trump. And I think they're going to find out that this DOJ under this president is going to push back very hard. And people need to be very careful, and I'm talking state's attorneys, I'm talking sheriffs in jails, I'm talking the director of the Department of Corrections needs to be very careful how they react on all of this, or they might find themselves locked up.
Now, to the overall situation, Bryant talked about a little bit of the history, the opposition that some Republicans had against all of this from the beginning, and how she believes that the Pritzker administration is going to get slapped down.
So you may remember that I was in the House when the original bill was passed, even under Governor Rauner, and argued that it was unconstitutional. Even though Governor Pritzker expanded way beyond where Governor Rauner was, I've always argued that what Illinois is doing in regard to illegal aliens coming into Illinois is unconstitutional. It is a sanctuary state. Chicago is a sanctuary city. I'm glad that the DOJ is pushing back, and I think that in time, all of this stuff takes a little bit of time, and we are only 2 months in to the Trump administration. I think that the Pritzker administration is going to get smacked down hard.
It's State Senator Terry Bryant there. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Wake up with us each and every weekday morning, and we'll continue to keep you posted on what's going on with that story as we get the details in. And obviously, you can stay abreast to the situation by going to thecentersquare.com throughout the day, see what's breaking there. You can also follow me on X. Just search Bishop on Air. Go ahead and give the Center Square a follow on X as well. Get the newsletter in your inbox, the podcast, the news clips, all of it. Just search the Center Square. All right? Make it happen. At the Illinois State House today, we expect conversations about safe storage of firearms and mandating that to where if you get caught with a firearm that's not safely stored, you could face some penalties. So clearly that's going to be contentious in a Senate committee this afternoon, but there's another bill that they could talk about as well, about a diversion program. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. So coming up today, that's really going to be a big flashpoint. The Illinois Senate's in session at the State House. I'll be there shortly after the show here. Busy days when they're in session. The House hasn't been in this week. Both chambers come in next week, and it's going to be a jam-packed week because not only are you going to see a lot of bills still move out of committee, you're going to see tons of legislation flying out of both the House and Senate so that those bills can go to the opposite chamber and then action can be taken there throughout the next few weeks before the end of session May 31st. So May 31st is that kind of, put it on the calendar. That's the dates that they got to get everything wrapped up, including the budget. And the budget is paramount, right? They need to have that in place for when the next fiscal year begins, July 1st. So the legislative calendar, we're in the first of a 2-year term for this 104th General Assembly. So this spring session, it ends May 31st. That's the date they have to pass legislation for it to be enacted, July 1st. And that includes the budget. So the budget we haven't really even seen yet. Of course, the governor's proposed it. I've covered the Capitol now for 11 years, and it always seems the budget comes in the last 2 or 3 days, if not later. So it's going to be long days that last week of May. Hopefully you guys will bear with me as I wake up in the mornings and might look a little disheveled, or whatever the case may be, or bags under my eyes, or something like that. So just bear with me, all right? But obviously, it's important, your tax dollars and how they're going to be spent. But before all of that, you've got tons of different policy issues that are coming up. And including today, you got a little bit of a mixed bag of gun legislation. We talked about this yesterday. You can go to the Center Square and check out the news story about the Senate Bill 8, the Safe Storage Bill. Illinois State Rifle Association's Ed Sullivan telling us that it's just a bad bill. It's onerous, and essentially would say that you have to lock up your firearm anytime that you're in your house and there's somebody there that shouldn't have that firearm. Now, supporters of the Safe Storage Act, Senate Bill 8, One Aim, Illinois, they say that it's important to promote responsible gun ownership so that it can keep firearms out of the hands of children and those who are at-risk individuals. So we'll have a debate about that today. They may also take up Senate Bill 1899, which actually the State Rifle Association supports, because Sullivan said that this is essentially a diversion program to say that somebody can still access a firearm if they're, getting a non-violent first-time offense. So, for instance, he says this would be good for ISRA members because of the gun ban that went into place in January 2023, because part of that gun ban was that you had to register your firearm. And to register that firearm meant to tell Illinois State Police that you have a banned firearm. Well, they haven't updated those stats since January 31st, 2024. Go to the Illinois State Police website. We talked about this ad nauseum well over a year ago. Because the compliance rate, any way you slice it, it's not good. The compliance rate, I've seen analysts go from 3% to 12%. And as you can see here, they still have not updated the numbers since January 31st, 2024. The deadline to comply with the registration, I believe, was the end of the year of 2023. And they had this many total affidavits of 112,000. They also were supposed to have people file accessory affidavits saying, I attest that I have these weapons and these accessories that are banned, Illinois State Police. So they also, haven't updated those numbers since. So we'll see what happens with that, if anything. But clearly the legislation, the law, is challenged in courts. District courts already found it unconstitutional. But Sullivan said the diversion program could help members of the Illinois State Rifle Association who have not registered a semi-automatic firearm if they were to get pinched. Because if you get caught with a semi-automatic firearm you didn't register, that would be a non-violent first-time weapons offense. So maybe there's a diversion program that won't have as stiff of penalties on you. I guess we'll see how that goes. But the State Rifle Association supports that. So we'll hear that today. But yesterday, you also had several hearings going on discussing legislation, including expanding vote by mail and curbside voting. This story from the Center Square's Kevin Bessler. As President Donald Trump aims to curb mail-in voting, some Illinois lawmakers are looking to expand it. There's a vote by mail drop box. Took a picture of that a couple of years ago in Sangamon County. But House Bill 1442, State Representative Nabila Syed from Palatine, she brought this forward and discussed another bill in committee yesterday. You can watch this at thecentersquare.com.
42 establishes that curbside voting must be established to specifically allow individuals with a disability to vote and requires the election authority to post signs outside of a polling place and adjacent to a curbside voting location indicating curbside voting capabilities for persons with a disability. For many Illinoisans, especially seniors and individuals with disabilities and those with limited mobility, the barriers to accessing their right to vote still remains high. This past November election, where voter turnout was higher, a number of seniors with a disability arrived to vote, and they were met with an hour to a 3-hour line in the suburbs with no place to sit outdoors. And I met with constituents who didn't want to vote because, there's been fear mongering and doubts cast on the vote by mail process.
Our county is a large one with over 300,000 registered voters. We had 0 requests for curbside voting. We had 0 requests in November. We've heard similar requests from many of our reports from many of our clerks. Basically, why do we want to mandate something that we already offer to the voters if few or any voters actually use it? Changing a may to a shall without a plan to bring awareness to the issue seems to defeat the purpose. So we're looking at bringing awareness to the issue. Have we considered increasing awareness by increasing communications about curbside voting to the voters who need it?
Way to administer elections. So currently, voters, they might have to navigate multiple forms to access permanent vote by mail status, and sometimes it leads to frustration, missed opportunities to participate in these elections. And this bill simply just makes the process more intuitive and ensures that voters can easily opt in on that same application. And we are hoping that this would also help, in discussion with several county clerks, we're also hoping that this would help make the process less burdensome for their offices and reduce administrative complexities.
We're concerned that adding that permanent language to the one-time form will lead to even more voter confusion. And we already have a lot of voter confusion with these forms. We'll have voters that call and tell us that they didn't know that they're signed up for permanent vote by mail. They thought they were only, signing up for a one-time situation. And worse, voters who, sign that permanent form thinking they were a one-time voter, one-time vote by mail voter, go to vote, and they didn't bring their ballot with them because they didn't realize that they had one mailed to them.
So this is why you need to get to thecentersquare.com, check out the headlines, subscribe to the YouTube channel, because that's a news clip that you would have gotten yesterday when the story published. But again, 2 different bills, one curbside voting, another one making it easier for permanent mail by voting and this or vote by mail ballots. President Donald Trump's order says he's wanting to get away from mail-in votes, trying to review all of the country's voting procedures. These things seem to go completely in the opposite direction, so we'll be watching that. Another headline at thecentersquare.com, a union-backed bill could double penalties on businesses not in compliance. Jim Talamante's story with a Senate Bill 1976. Essentially what it does is it prevents state agencies from making workers' rights or worker safety less stringent than federal laws. It would also say that agencies could make regulations more stringent. And all this because of, January 19th, 2025, they had certain things in place, but now OSHA doing some other things. You had AFL-CIO President Tim Dre there yesterday. He laid out some of his thoughts and a variety of others, including from the business community, and all sounding off on this idea of allowing the states to make even more stringent rules and regulations for employers in the state of Illinois that would be on top of whatever federal regulations there are.
We're hopeful that the standards that have been in place to protect workers in the workplace, be it public or private, stay. We don't want to see anything on the federal level, OSHA or anybody, take away workplace safety standards that have been established, that have been proven, to work. And so we're hopeful this bill is not needed. But if standards on the federal level are lowered, then we want to make sure Illinois workers are safe.
We're really concerned specifically regarding the difference in penalties. So of course, with the state, looking at the state penalty structure that may be different than the federal penalty structure. If we're keeping things steady, we want to make sure that employers aren't confused and there, of course, aren't duplicative penalties that could really punish them.
I'm not committed necessarily for the chamber. I'm willing to have conversations, and as he knows, I'm always willing to have my door open and my phone open to have conversations. I'm grateful to have heard about these concerns now, and I'm sure we will have further conversation after that. But what I can say is, especially with the Department of Labor, to continue to have those conversations, and I'll hold on second.
And you will not move it from second to third without it coming back to committee, regardless if there's an amendment or not?
I don't know if I can necessarily commit from second to third and not until I have it come back to committee. What I will say is I will not move it out of the Senate without having further conversations.
You know, I'm so thrilled that the governor has promoted and pushed new business. We need new business. Department of Commerce, Intersect Illinois, it's fantastic. We're all working together. In this case, we've got small businesses representation and large business representation against it. So we seem to have all of the folks that are, from an association perspective, representing large and small businesses, very unhappy with the current condition. So it seems counterintuitive to me to move forward. Is Department of Labor currently opposed to it?
No, we're not opposed. We haven't taken a position. We see the merit in the intent, certainly. The language is just not quite there yet.
So, measure moving forward, despite the language not quite being there yet, could we see that advance before that May 31st deadline? Guys, I'm telling you, we're just getting started with the General Assembly. It's going to be some high-flying action, a lot of legislation for us to tackle. I'm going to do my best to bring you the most salient, because if you've seen the show for a while, you know that we do these, governor signs 220 bills in one day, or 500 plus laws go into effect January 1st. That's the sausage. And what I hope to bring to you guys is to kind of lift the veil and show you how that sausage is made at the Illinois State House. Because you have to work, you're bringing home the bacon for your family, you don't have the means to go out to the Capitol every day. That's what I get paid to do. So hopefully you guys are staying informed and appreciate the updates here with Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Follow me anywhere. Get the headlines in your inbox at thecentersquare.com. And we'll see you back here sooner than later. So that's the live show for you guys. Obviously, the live show, it's live to tape. The segments are segmented out. People watch those segments. But clearly, you know, if you want to enjoy the atmosphere of the show, you can watch us live. Shout out to Washington Gun Law. They featured some of our work in our story, so that was pretty neat to see, and a lot of support from you guys out there, even on other YouTube channels. So appreciate that. Have a great day, guys.